Gentlemen, welcome back to the Tiege Hanley Starting a Business, Building a Brand vlog. This one, big number 374, and I have a very special, sassy guest in the Alpha M Tiege Hanley house. Marni, say hello to everybody.
Hi, everybody.
So here's the deal. Marni came in yesterday, or 2 days ago, and we filmed a ton of videos. Really, really fun videos that we're gonna sporadically, or I'm gonna sporadically, basically sprinkle out on the Alpha M YouTube channel. But while I had her here, you are such an incredible business person, and you've got an incredible business mind, and her business is all info based, right? And that's something that, you talk and you see a lot of people online talking about, businesses and earning money that way through e-products and coaching and courses, and yours has just blown up. In how long have you been doing it? Tell your story.
I've been doing it for a long time.
Okay,
so it's not an instant blow up. It's been 17 years.
So 17 years, but you're it's amazing. So tell everybody kind of your story on how you kind of got started and how you've kind of been able to leverage this dating advice and turn it into a multi-million dollar empire almost.
Yeah,
right?
well, I started 17 years ago. I was at a singles mixer at a rabbi's house.
Rabbi's house?
Yes, at a rabbi's house. I feel like that's very important. And so I walked in. I had just started dating my now husband a month earlier, so I was window shopping while I was there. And there was men over here, women over here, not for religious purposes, just because they weren't interacting with each other. And once I knew I wasn't attracted to anyone, I started going up to men. I would talk with them, and then I would start pulling them towards the women that they were interested in. They would chat. One couple that I introduced were making out by the end of the night, which was really fantastic. Anyway, I went home. I said to my roommate, I want to be a wing girl. I love what I did tonight. I love that I helped guys meet girls. He made some crude joke and also challenged me, basically saying guys do not want advice from women. I said, you are absolutely wrong. Posted an ad on Craigslist, and I had over 75 responses by the next morning. So in the very beginning, I was a live service until 6 months later, I discovered internet marketing and digital content. And then I shifted everything from a personal service, in-person service, over to digital by starting off with one webpage that had an opt-in, that went to a video, and then sold a $27 product. And now it's much bigger.
Yeah.
Right.
And so, so you were basically a dating coach in the world of dating coaches. There were a lot of dating coaches out there when you started, right?
Men. A lot of male dating coaches. I was the only female run and operated business within that industry.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so these guys, what would basically be the service they would provide? I know
they were doing boot camps. They did have some digital content as well. So back then, not everybody was creating content. There were specific people who knew how to use the internet to make money. Eben Pagan is one of them. He's a huge internet marketer. He was known as David D'Angelo, and he invited me to speak at one of his seminars. And I was like, great, I'm gonna speak to 300 guys. I'll get 10 clients maybe. I think low about myself, obviously. And I went there and I saw all these cameras set up, and I was like, oh, what is he doing? And then people would tell me, oh, he sells these afterwards. He films everything. He packages it up really nicely, and he sells millions of copies. And I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. So I went to his website and saw what he was doing, and I basically just copied everything that he was doing and created a version of my own that was from the female perspective.
And so how has your business, once you started selling basically information and coaching, how has your business evolved from the beginning, and what are you doing now in terms of how are you making the majority of your money?
The majority of my money still comes from digital content that I sell. And
okay, explain what
digital content means that you can consume it online. You purchase it and you instantly have it. It's not a book that I send.
It can be downloadable
video, audio, PDF, workbook,
anything.
Yeah, anything you can view on your phone.
Anything you can think of, and that's the thing. If you can think of something that you feel somebody else would need or want or get value from. You can create an e-product from it. In Marni's case, it was dating advice and help.
Yeah.
And so, go on.
Listen, I never went into debt for it. It never cost me a lot of money to do. I was always working another job at the same time. In the first, I think, 5 years, I was working for another company and working for myself in my off time. And I never went into debt. I never spent anything, really. It was just my hustle that helped me.
It was your side hustle.
It was my side hustle.
And that's one of the beautiful things about this digital world and the internet is that it doesn't require you to have hundreds of thousands of dollars or 50,000 or even 20,000 or 10,000. You need a computer, you need a phone. You literally could start a business with your phone.
100%.
100%. And so go on.
Well, and the biggest thing for me was that I leveraged networking to get my name out there. I had worked a little bit in PR, so I knew how to advertise myself through PR because it was a unique. I can't speak, but a unique concept, so I knew people would bite onto it.
Because it's interesting.
It's interesting.
And in PR, it's all about something interesting. And that's one of the things that I did when I was starting like my image consulting business.
Yeah.
It was reaching out to these different publications, whether or not it was a local magazine, a newspaper, a radio show, and I would give them an idea. Like, hey, this is me, this is what I do, I help guys with this. It would really be a great story for your readers if I came on and gave a tip on X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
And
you always want to help those people.
You want to help them.
I saw this article that you wrote about
because
this may be a great follow-up.
They're
afterwards.
always looking for information and new stuff, right? It's always about, finding something that might be interesting. And so that's what I can't talk either. That's what I did when I was getting started as well, trying to get some publications. But go on.
Yeah, and it is harder today. I will be honest.
It
because
is.
We started in the beginning of YouTube where there wasn't as much content out there, so it's a little bit more challenging. You have to be a little bit more salacious to get those people to want to write about you. But the thing that will always work is networking within your community. The biggest thing that I learned in the very beginning is that other people who do what you do are not your competition. They are your associates.
And that's what I learned from Antonio Centeno. Yeah. And I've mentioned that, I was always of the mindset before I met him, like I've got to protect.
No, go away.
Yeah, everything is like if it's either I'm winning or you're losing or you're losing or you're winning and I'm losing. And so Antonio was like, no, let's all come together and meet and share experiences and help and resources.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. It was at that point where everything in my life and my businesses started to really scale and escalate. It was because he was smarter than I was. And apparently it sounds like you were smarter than I was.
No, I wasn't, because I did the exact same thing as you in the very very beginning. And then I joined a mastermind. And for me, I didn't really see it as competition because I was the only woman and they were men. So I think I didn't really completely have that mindset. But when other women stepped in, I was like, no, stay away. And
what about Kezia?
Yeah, exactly the same. People like Kezia, all of those people, I saw them as it's you or it's me. We can't be both. And that shifted probably 2 years into doing what I was doing. But that was a huge lesson for me. And so what I did in the very beginning was I had a space where I was building up an audience because I was capturing email addresses, even if it was only 10 email addresses.
Which is kind of like the first kind of lesson is if you are going to do anything, right, you need to be able to reach out to these people.
Yes.
And so having a website with an opt-in, and an opt-in is basically like
you're saying, give me your email address
and I'll give you something
in return.
And so it's, and it can be anything. It can be an email with 5 bullet points of, what to wear on a date or it doesn't matter.
Sometimes I do it through a quiz assessment. It's just some way of capturing their email address so that you can then contact them later. Doesn't mean everybody's going to open your emails, but it means some people are going to read your emails and some people are going to do what you tell them to do afterwards. And so what I would do was I would go and interact with other people who were dating coaches and I would interview them. And then I would say, I'm going to post it on my blog. I'm going to send it out to my newsletter list. Little did they know it was like 100 people that were on my newsletter list, but then they would do the same thing for me. They would interview me and they would then expose me to 5 or 100 or thousands of other people. And that's how I slowly would build up my presence.
Yeah. And so fast forward to now, how do you make your money today?
So the majority of my money comes from the digital products that I am selling. And now I have over 30 something digital programs. I have different masterclass. I have a whole bunch of digital content
to sell people.
And then I have a whole bunch of live content that we do every single month. We do these masterclasses and then we resell them afterwards. It's called evergreen products, which means it lives forever.
It all feeds each other and it's beautiful. And a lot of you guys have all seen, probably if you've seen any of my videos on YouTube or a lot of these like men's lifestyle videos, you'll see Marni's ads, right? Where she's always like licking something or eating something. What's the deal with those?
So for some reason, anything with my mouth seems to get higher clicks. And apparently I have a very high click-through rate. So apparently on some of my videos, I get an 11.56% click-through rate, which is really high and unheard of in this industry. I will say I only started advertising a couple of years ago because I was quite insecure about my funnel converting. In the past—
What's a funnel? You hear about funnels all the time in terms of marketing and digital advertising. So what is a funnel?
Well, a funnel, if you think about it, is shaped like this, right? And it's a way of collecting stuff to get it into somewhere else. So funnels are the way that you dump in traffic, like how you advertise to people or how you pull in people to go see your content, and then they go to the next step, which is seeing your sales page or your landing page. And then again, it's like those people who pass through on the sales page. I'm explaining it really hard.
No, it's
really that. It's like, how do you get people to hear about you, purchase or trust you, and then purchase from you?
And it's all about, we've talked about top funnel things before. You know, some of the things that we've been working on at Tiege Hanley was our funnel, right? The funnel is all just about the sales process, right? When you get a customer or how you attract them, you throw them into your funnel. That's top funnel stuff. So a lot of the ads you'll see or videos you see, you know, online, you hear people talking about, oh, it's top funnel, meaning it's going to appeal to a large or a broad spectrum of people, and they come in the top of the funnel. And then at the bottom of the funnel is a sale, and actually getting them to purchase something typically.
Yeah.
And so during the funnel and during the process, you hear about it takes how many touches? Like seven touches, 7 or 10 touches in order to sell or convert somebody, depending on the industry, depending on the market, right?
Depending on where they're coming from.
Exactly. And how warm of a lead they are when they come into the top of the funnel. And then how you can market to them, how you can advertise, how you can touch them all the way down the funnel in order to get them to convert at the bottom, right?
Absolutely.
And so the funnel is something where it's critical for you to figure it out. And we are always, every entrepreneur is trying to figure out how to get their funnel to convert better and be tighter. And so
you may have different funnels for different sources of traffic. So for me and my warm traffic, which means people who watch my YouTube videos, people who listen to my podcast, who are signed up for my newsletter.
They already know about Marni.
Yeah, they know me. They don't need as much selling, whereas somebody that's cold traffic, meaning they don't know me. They have no clue who I am, and they have to build trust, and it takes a little bit longer for them to actually convert.
But this is the same process that happens with pretty much anything.
Yeah.
In terms of anything you're buying, anything you're trying to sell.
Yeah.
And so
whether it's Windex or a digital product.
it doesn't matter. It's the same thing. Your funnel may look differently, but it's still the same kind of process. You got to attract somebody, expose them to whatever you're doing or who you are or whatever, and then how do you help them through the buying process? And like Marni was saying, it's typically like 7 touches, which is crazy. A lot of people, when they start advertising or marketing, they think, why didn't I sell a gazillion units this first time right out of the bat? It's because that's not typically how sales work.
Yeah. In terms, trust. You need time.
Which is why, using influencers is kind of one of the kind of hacks to some degree, because the person that's watching may not have ever heard of your brand, but they know this person and they trust them, which is going to in turn help them convert a lot better.
Yeah, because they have trust established with that audience.
Yes, exactly. Which is one of the reasons why I've been able to do so many promotions for so many brands, is because of the fact that they trust me and I promote, good products that I believe in, and I'm helping people solve a problem.
Yeah.
So, all right.
And just by being exposed to you doesn't mean that they trust you. You have to earn that trust from your viewers, from your listeners. So in the audience that I was a part of in the very beginning, they were dating coaches who were men, but many of them were marketers first. They just wanted to sell people and take every dollar from them. And those companies burnt out really fast because they would get a lot of cash from them, but they didn't establish trust, and they need to always have new people coming in to make money. I have had people who are a part of my audience for 5, for 10, for 15 years because I don't constantly sell people. I give value constantly, and that's a huge thing for me. I always want to provide value.
And that's something else that I feel like I've mentioned this before. A lot of people that want to start a YouTube channel, they're like, hey, I have a product I want to sell. What should I do first? I'm like, first, you need to not think about actually selling them the product. It's about giving value and helping them through some type of issue or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I think a lot of people, it's perverted the world of kind of like content creation and influencers to some degree. The fact when it became apparent that you can actually make money at this, when people start it for the intention of making money or selling something, it is never as, in my opinion, as productive or as successful long-term as the people that are actually doing it in order to, hey, I'm going to start a channel, I'm starting a business, or I should say, figure out what you want to talk about first.
Figure out how you want to help.
And then you'll figure out the monetization later. Don't go into it thinking, I need to,
Yes, I agree.
Yeah,
figure out how can I help these people. Monetization will come later on.
Exactly. You don't need to know right off the bat in the beginning, right?
Yeah. And if you think you need to know, it's going to paralyze you, and then you're not going to do anything.
Speaking of paralyzation and being paralyzed, one of the things that we talked about when I said, hey, I have this business vlog, you mentioned something that I thought was very, very important, and that is the fear of being perfect, and it prevents a lot of people from actually starting or doing or jumping. Talk a little bit about that.
Don't ever try to be perfect. Just get your stuff
Get
out
it out.
there. And
Get
then,
it out.
Then finesse it later on as you learn more and you grow more. People write me about all these grammar errors and spelling errors on my blog. I'm like, screw it, that was posted 4 months ago. I'll just do it better in the future one.
Yeah.
And I think if I was so fixated when I was younger about being perfect and having everything tied up in a nice bow, I would have never built my business.
Me neither. That's 100,000%. For me, it was about just jumping and trying and figuring it out. Sometimes you're gonna fail, sometimes you're gonna succeed.
Yeah.
But it's about modifying, adjusting, and changing course. But the obsession with learning and planning and preparing has unfortunately paralyzed, I think, a lot of
Tons people.
entrepreneurs.
I talk to a lot of female entrepreneurs, or just females who want to be entrepreneurs, and we talk about it for so long. I give so many sessions and so ideas, and these are just my friends, and they'll ultimately never do anything because they want it to be perfect and everything put together, and it's just not helping them or the people that they want to help.
Good enough is done.
I agree. I'm exactly the same way.
Good enough is done.
Yeah. The funny thing is, so some of my sales pages that have a ton of spelling errors, that don't look as pretty and nice in 2023 or whatever, convert way better than the more finessed ones that I have up right now.
I think it's amazing. So I guess, real quick, guys, if you have a business question, down below start it with business question. I'm not going to get to any business questions this week just because I have Marni, and I really feel like the amount of information and knowledge that you have is much better than anything I could say on these questions or responses. So if you have a business question, down below start it with business question. If I didn't get to your question from last week or last vlog, please copy and paste it to this one. Next week I'll get to some of them. So real quick, before you have to go, because you have to go to the airport to head home, if you had to do it over, what would you do differently?
What would I do differently? Okay, I was going to tell one story, and I'm going to tie it into.
Okay, do this is your show.
When I was a part of this mastermind that was dating coaches and marketers, I used to beat myself up, I think, for 2 or 3 years because they were very marketing-y and always wanting to convert and doing split tests. And I would just drive myself crazy with this technical side that I was not very good at. I wanted to learn it, I wanted to understand it, and I wanted to master it. But it made me go cross-eyed trying to do all of these things because it just wasn't who I am. And I think at the 3-year mark, maybe the 4-year mark, I said, screw it. I'm just gonna focus on what I'm really good at, and that was content creation. And people made fun of me for it in the very beginning. Why are you spending so much time on content? That's a waste of time. Just learn how to do a better sales page. And then I grew this full catalog of content that is living forever, that then elevates my profile on the internet, and it was closer to the things that I love doing and where I shined the most. And as soon as I did that, that's when my sales started to change because I wasn't fixating on this other stuff. I was hiring people who could do that other stuff. And I was focusing on my content because me being down on myself for not mastering that skill was taking away all of my energy and passion from actually growing my business.
So that brings me to something. When do you hire somebody to take the things away from you that you don't like doing?
Yeah.
When?
Oh, when do you?
Yeah, when?
I mean, as soon as you can afford it.
Yeah.
If you just want to free up your brain space, if it's not putting you into bankruptcy and you can afford it, you don't have to hire somebody full time. For example, chat support or just support in general was depressing me. It was one of the first things that I did every single morning, and I would see people being unhappy. I didn't pay attention to all the people who were happy and not asking for refunds or not being disappointed. All I saw were these people being unhappy with my thing that I was putting out there that I was pouring my heart into, and it would pull me down. And so as soon as I could hire somebody, I hired somebody, I paid them $2,000 a month, they took that off my plate, they did a whole bunch of other things for me as well, and I never had to see a single one of those support tickets again.
I love it. Do you read comments now?
I never do.
No.
Never. Because it's not worth it. In the very beginning, I 500 comments that are so nice. One that says, oh, your nose is too big, or you talk like this, or horrible. I would fixate on it. It's not worth it, so I don't.
Exactly. I have insecurities now that I never had before, just because your audience is very good at pointing those out. All right, so any final words to the gentlemen or gentle ladies or whoever is watching this in terms of entrepreneurship? What is your best piece of entrepreneurship advice if you had to give it?
It's ask for advice.
Ooh.
Yeah. We've talked about this. I'm not very big into masterminds, but I am big in asking for advice. If I need something, I have a network that I can reach out to of people that I trust, of other entrepreneurs who have gone through similar things. And that's the biggest advice that I would have is ask for advice. When you need advice, don't try and figure it out all on your own.
I love it. I think that's where we're going to wrap things up.
There you go.
There it is. So we're all day we're filming, and I'm snapping and dropping through, and I'm like, come on, Marni, come on. She can't snap, but she can give a mean knuckle bump. You're a rock star. Thank you for everything.
Thank you.
All right, gentlemen, if you want to check out Marni, gonna link down below. Do you want to give the free offer?
Yeah,
we've been
totally
doing
give
the free offer.
offer.
So here's the deal. If you're dating, if you need help attracting the type of woman that you want or dude or whatever you're into, Marni has a free offer that we're gonna link to down below. Marni, take it away.
It's a free video series. 5 videos teaches you the 5 things that you need to do to attract the women that you want. Go to fwithher.com and start using these things.
And guess what? That's top funnel. Just be aware that once you're in, boom, you're not only getting the good information, she's gonna sell you shit too.
Like the callback. There you go. I love it.
Gentlemen, you rock. Next week we'll see you. I can't ever wrap a video up. We love you more than a double monk strap shoes. And Marni, knuckle bump. Thanks for being awesome. Gentlemen, you're awesome too. See you next week. Bye.